How's it going, guys? Jake from Boatman UK here, and in today's video I'm going to be going through a little bit of an unboxing and a basic user guide on our Boatman Actor V2 GPS. So basically what you can expect to see from this video is an unboxing, so you're seeing what's included with the boat itself, a little bit of a user guide, so going through the basics of the remote, not actually using the boat, but as I say, just a brief overview of what every button does, and then also what you can actually expect from the boat itself and future maintenance as well. Okay, here we have the box, so let's get to unboxing it so you know exactly what you're getting with the boat itself. So first things first, the main part, the boat itself, which is encased in these two polystyrene pieces at either end. So here's the boat itself. Now, the battery for the boat is already inside the boat. It's actually cable tied in place. So you don't need to go hunting for your battery. If you pop the lid off, like so, it's already in there. Now, as for everything else, you should pretty much find almost everything within this front polystyrene tray. So you'll notice it's got some cutouts at the very front of it. And in here, you have your mains charger in this little white box here. You'll have a little bag with a spare pair of props and a spare rear hopper latch. You'll have the remote itself, microfiber towel to clean the boat off, and also a USB lead as well. You'll also have a charging plug, which I have accidentally left outside of this box for now, but you'll also get a charging plug to plug your USB lead in to charge the remote itself up. And lastly, something that we often don't look at, which is the user manual. These GPS models are available in 3 different colours. In the video I'm using the black one, but they're also available in carbon or the camo finish. The 2 other colours are a slight increase on the price by around £20 or so, but are well worth it in my opinion. Now, before you go too far and fully commit to sending this thing out for a session, most important thing you need to do is charge the batteries up. Now, if you're going out for a couple of hours just to test it out, or you just want to basically get it out, give it a test, get used to the buttons, that's okay. But we highly recommend that you give it a full charge before you actually use it properly, because they're only going to come with part charge in both the battery in the boat and the battery in the remote. So firstly, let's begin with the battery inside the boat itself. To remove the battery from the boat is really easy. You're simply removing the lid itself by pulling up and off like so. And initially you will need to cut a locating cable tie that holds the battery in place for transit, just to make sure that it doesn't rattle around inside the boat and cause a load of damage whilst it's in the post. Once this cable tie is cut, the battery can be removed really easily by simply using the pull ring on the actual battery itself and pull the battery up and out of place. Once your battery's out, you can give it a good charge. So using the mains charger supplied with the boat, now only use this charger. Don't use any other charger, even if it seems like the same charging port, because that charger is specifically rated for charging this battery. Now, usually a full charge from completely flat will take up to 10 hours. So these come with a 10 amp battery and it's an hour per amp. So 10 hours for a full charge if it is completely flat. In most cases, you're normally charging it for a top up, which is around 3 to 4 hours. Now, out of a full charge, once the battery is fully charged, you'll expect 5 hours of runtime on this particular model. Well, between 4 to 5 hours, depending on how often and how much you're using it, how far you're sending it out, etc., etc. There will also be a bunch of indicators that will tell you if the battery is low. So the remote itself on the GPS model will have a little display on it, which I'll show a close-up of in just a moment. And that will tell you if the battery on the boat is low. You'll also get a flashing headlight, and ultimately, when it's really low, the remote itself will also flash and tell you that the battery is low. It also has a safety feature on the GPS model, so wherever you save your home point to, if it detects that the battery is too low and it's not going to make where you're asking it to go to, it'll automatically return to that home point so it doesn't get stranded and lost in the lake itself. As for the charger that's supplied with the boat, there is an LED light that indicates its status of charging. So whilst it's charging, you'll notice that the LED indicator will be red, and once the battery is fully charged, it will go to green. Now, you're okay to leave it over for a little while, like a couple of hours isn't going to harm it, but do not leave the battery on charge over a weekend, for example, or overnight, because you do run risk of damaging the battery from overcharging. What will happen is the battery will eventually get lazy. It'll be used to being kept on charge all the time, and it will basically rely on being charged up all of the time. So it's good practice to make sure that you're pulling it off charge as soon as it's fully charged. Again, a couple of hours here and there isn't going to hurt, but the worst thing you can do is leave it on charge 24/7, and the second worst thing you can do is store it part drained as well. So if you're storing the boat for winter, for example, make sure your battery's fully charged before you store it. As for your remote's just as simple. As I say, you're using the charging plug specifically provided with the boat itself, because that is rated for the correct voltage and amperage for this charger, or for this remote rather. Any other plug can sometimes overpower it and can cause the battery to damage, which of course won't be covered under the warranty. The charging port's located on the bottom of the remote just here, really easy to access, and the remote charges take normally anywhere from about 5 to 6 hours for a full charge, but you'll get plenty of life out of a full charge on the actual remote itself. And again, there's also an LED display indicator on the remote itself that will tell you its status of charge. Whilst it's charging, you'll also get an indicator on the remote itself that will tell you where it's at in terms of charging, and once the battery symbol that's displayed on the actual remote goes green, that means it's fully charged and you're ready to use it. Okay, so here we have our GPS remote. So I'm going to walk you through the actual layout and what everything does. So on the screen here itself is all of your GPS information and all of your GPS display. So starting from the top left, we've got the amount of satellites. So this particular GPS model will reach up to 12 satellites. So once it hits 12, like it has done already, that's ready to go full satellite. So you're going to gain the maximum amount of accuracy you possibly can. To the right of that is your signal strength. Now that's the signal strength of the communication between the remote and the boat itself. So you'll actually get up to 500 meters of range. So as you eventually go past like 100 meters or so, you'll notice it'll probably drop to 3 bars and so on. Next along we have P. This is actually a compass basically, so it'll basically tell you which direction you're navigating. So P means parked, it means you're not using it. And as I move the toggle stick forwards, for example, you'll see that direction changes. If I go left, you get the idea. So basically it's telling you your orientation, what you're doing, what you're inputting on the remote itself should relay directly to the little compass guide there. On the right, we've got two battery symbols. We've got B and we've got R. B meaning boat, R meaning remote. So of course, this is our battery levels in both boat and remote. So you can see they're on blue little symbols that obviously will go down. And if it's fully charged, it'll be all the way to the top. So the remote is fully charged, the boat is part charged currently. Now, once these get low on battery, both for the boat and the remote itself, the remote will beep, it will tell you, it'll be flashing red. And as I say, as a safety feature, if the boat gets too low on battery, it will automatically return home to your designated saved spot, or your saved home point rather. On the rest of the screen is all of your GPS and navigation. So down here, you've got 16 boxes, and these are your saved and stored locations. If it's blank, that means that you haven't got a save spot. If I choose to save a spot on any one of those numbers, the box will go green, which I'll show you how to do in just a moment. Here we have position, navigation and home. So the P will basically tell you how far away you are from that exact position. So for example, at the moment you can see I'm currently hovering over the number 2. You can see the little box around the outside of it. To navigate, I'm just going to use these two buttons here, left and right. And hopefully you can just about see. So now, for example, I'm hovering over the number 4. If I had a save spot at number 4, the P would tell me how far away I am from that specific position. So it would say, for example, 20 meters. When you're navigating to that spot, so if I choose to navigate to spot 4, that's when N will come into play, and it will tell you how far away you are as live data. So it will say navigating, and it will basically give you a countdown of how far away you are of navigating to that exact point. Obviously, the closer you get, the lower the number will be. And lastly, the H is your home point. And again, this is telling you how far away you are from your saved home point. On the right here, we have these two little symbols which have an N and an N next to them again. So these are your hoppers, top being the center hopper and the bottom being the rear hopper. Now, when you navigate to a saved spot, which again I'll come to in a moment, it'll ask you if you want to open these hoppers. At the moment, it's designated to N, which basically means no, I don't want it to open the hoppers when I'm in autopilot, but I can change that to Y, so it will then, yes, I will open the hoppers when it goes to autopilot. And it will remember your last input. So if the last time I used it and asked it to navigate to a spot, I asked it to open the hoppers, that will then change to a Y and it will default to a Y there. So essentially, this is telling you your status of your hoppers. So for example, if I open the center hopper, you'll see that that symbol now changes and it tells me that center hopper is open. Moving on to the actual buttons of the remote itself now. So on the left here, we have this arrow forward. This is auto forward. So if I single press this, you'll see that there's a little symbol there that comes up that basically shows you that you're in auto forward. And to come out of this, you just simply press down on the keypad, or down on the toggle rather, and that stops. This is a multifunction button, so if I press and hold this, it'll put the boat into compass calibration mode. Now, compass calibration is something that's actually quite essential, and it's basically what it means is whilst the boat's navigating under GPS or in auto forward, it makes sure that it doesn't veer. So even in crosswind, for example, it makes sure that it navigates in as straight a path as possible. We have done a video covering compass in depth, so I would recommend to check that out. But basically, all you need to do is calibrate your compass by pressing and holding this button once the boat's in the water, and it will go around in circles for around 15 seconds, and then it will basically tell you that it's calibrated. We recommend to do this pretty much every time you change location. So if you're changing to a different peg or just an entirely different location entirely, then we recommend to calibrate your compass. This here, this little flag, is your home point. So if you're wanting to save a home point, which I will do now, you want to press and hold this flag, and you will see that my home point now has a 0 next to it. That's because the boat's just out of shot here. If I just move the camera up a touch, just there, is now at its designated home point. And as the boat moves away, that number will increase. As for the rest of these buttons, I'll try and get through these as quick as I can. You have these two here, these two little arrows, which, as I mentioned, are for navigating for your saved spots here. So from 1 through to 16, you can navigate through your saved locations. This button here is to navigate to your saved location. At the moment, I have no saved location, so if I hit the navigate button, it will say out of range because you're asking it to go somewhere that it doesn't know. Here is how you save a location. So at the moment, I believe I'm hovering over number 14. This is the little pin drop here. This is to save your location. So I'm going to press that and it will say, are you sure? So if you want to continue, you press the pin drop again. If you've decided that you don't want to save a location there, you press this little symbol here, which basically is your exit button. So I want to save that location. I'm going to press yes. And you will see now that that box is lit up green. If I now ask it to navigate, you'll see you come up with a sub menu. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, this is your hopper menu. So for example, what it's asking you here in options is, do you want the hoppers to open and do you want it to return home? Now at the moment, all of that is set to the letter N, which basically means no. To simply operate that and make it change to yes, you're going to press your center hopper, your rear hopper, and the house. That's all now Y, Y, Y. And again, the letter Y means yes. So that basically now on this submenu basically means that I'm asking it to get to its designated spot that I've asked it to go to, open the front, or rather the center and the rear hopper, and then after it's done that, return home. As you can see, if I want to proceed, I'm pressing the navigate button. If I don't want to, I'm pressing the escape button. If I hit navigate, you'll see that that now goes red, which basically means it's navigating to that spot, and you will see the P and the N come into play here at this point. In order to cancel, if you decide that you no longer want to navigate to that spot, you just press and hold down and it will stop doing that for you. So that is how you basically choose and save your locations, your spots. It is actually very simple to use, especially once you get used to it. So as I mentioned, you're using these left and right keys here to actually navigate through your save spots. You're using the pin drop to actually save your spot itself, which as you see goes green once you've saved. And then what you want to make sure is obviously if you're wanting to navigate to that spot that you're hovering over that correct one. Now, if you're hovering over one that doesn't have a save spot like now, you'll always get that out of range message. So if you're getting that out of range message, it means you're asking it to navigate somewhere that it hasn't saved. If you want to remove a save spot, so I'm going to hover over number 6 again. If you press and hold the pin drop, you will see that that now goes. So that's now removed that save spot. So your save spots aren't saved permanently. You can delete them if you end up filling the remote with different save spots. Moving on, we have home here. So if we single press home, it'll basically go back, and it will ask the boat to return back to its home point. So you can do that at any point. If you're way out, you just press the home button and it will automatically return home for you. This here is our exit button. This performs no function aside from the fact of which you're in the menus, you're wanting to exit, this is the button you'll use. This little light bulb here is the headlight button, which processes and turns the headlight on and off. This is also used for pairing as well. This is also a multifunction button, but I'm not going to go into details on that because you shouldn't really need to worry about that too much. Here you've got your center hopper, and here you've got your right hopper. And of course you've got your power switch on and off. So that's the remote, really easy to use. The layout of it's really nice and simple. You've got all your GPS display, all in the actual same unit, all in the same remote, no extra apps or smartphones or any other random bits and bobs. Now, the GPS models, whether it be an Actor like this one here or a different model, in my opinion, are probably the best value for the money boats that we sell. The GPS is accurate to within 1 metre, so that's like a squared 1 metre, because of course you are most of the time, you're pretty much pinpoint, but of course it varies on satellites, conditions, etc, etc. But obviously when it's like night, for example, it's pitch black and you haven't got your usual reference points, it doesn't matter how good you are at casting, you aren't going to that same position, that same spot every single time, and that's where GPS really shines. The convenience of being able to save however many locations and return back to them, whether you're baiting a spot up, for example, where you've seen some activity, or you're sending your rig out to a spot that's continuously doing well. So, for example, if you're fishing somewhere that's very weedy and you find a hole in the weed, like that little gap, that little spot that you're looking for, you can consistently send out your rig, your bait, whatever it is that you're doing, and you can return to that spot every time, pretty much bang on. And that's where GPS really, really shines. Now, I have done other videos that go through the use of the boat, showing it in action. So obviously, if you want to check those out, check out our other videos, of course. But that pretty much ties up this video. I don't want to let it drag on too long. Now, in terms of maintenance, I'll quickly cover that off before I sign out as well. Maintaining the boat, most important things are to actually keep the boat clean. So, for example, if you're using oils and additives, that's fine. You're more than welcome to use them. But we highly recommend to try and rinse as much of it off as you can. The best way to do that is not to use just water, because of course the oils are going to repel the water. So you want to get yourself like a degreaser, just like a surface degreaser, nothing special, just what you'd use on your kitchen sides. Especially around the underside, that's where a lot of the boat is going to get dirty, the side that you don't really see that goes in the water. You want to be spraying around the centre door area and those sort of areas, trying to get rid of much of the oils and the gunk as possible, and then give it a swill off in the water. Whether you wash it off yourself or run it through the water is completely up to you. Because of course the things like the oils, for example, get incredibly gunky. The centre hopper on these is operated by a pin that moves in and out, and it hasn't got much tolerance. So if you end up getting a load of gunk and bits and pieces attached, you can run risk of that seizing up. That is easy to resolve. Clean it off, a bit of a degrease, and a bit of WD-40 or even better marine grease will solve that problem for you. But in order to not get there in the first place and run risk of your centre hopper door getting stuck or trapped, then that's highly recommended. Just keep the boat clean. And obviously, the better we look after our gear and our tackle, the better it looks after you in the long run. Other than that, in terms of maintenance, apart from like greasing up like your centre hopper and all those sort of little bits and bobs, there isn't really too much to worry about on this. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, one of the most important things is probably your battery maintenance, which again, it's all included in the user manual. I know we don't all read user manuals. I don't, I'm terrible for it, but I do recommend, if you're having a sit down, have a flick through the manual or watch these videos, and they will help you get a good guide of what to do with your boat to make it last as long as it possibly can for you and perform at its absolute best as well. So I'll sign this video off. I think that covers everything I want to cover. As I mentioned just a moment ago, I've done a variety of other videos using the boat, showing the accuracy of the GPS and more in-depth user guides. I just wanted to basically cover, if you're looking at the boat and you're wondering what you get and what you can expect from it, I just wanted to cover that in one video, and I'm hoping that that covers everything in this one. But let me know if there's anything else that I've missed. If you've got any further questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. Thank you and take care.